Hello, my name is Martin Turner. I'm the author of Desktop Publishing with QuarkXPress 2016, and this is a series of videos running right the way through 2017, looking at key real-world applications of QuarkXPress. But this week I want to get really boring, I'm afraid, and talk about proofreading and markup. Now, desktop publishing is not the same as design. Design sets an overall format. It might do fancy graphics, it might do all kinds of things. But the designer's job basically stops when they hand over what they've done to somebody else. The desktop publisher's job, or the publisher's job, is to take the document from whatever state it starts in. So you might just have a blank document. You've got to create all your own graphics, all your own numbers, all your own words, all your own photographs, or you might get those given to you, but to take it right the way through to the finished final product, which lands in someone's letterbox or on their desk or appears on a bookshelf or is on the web as an HTML5 document. And one thing that somebody said to me, is a printer in Gouda in the Netherlands, Geert Peters, if you're watching this, hi, but he said to me that the first 80% of quality is very easy to achieve. The first 80% of quality is very easy to achieve. The final 20% is the difficult bit, but that's the difference between a DTP job that a hobbyist might make, or someone on their first document, and a professional job that actually is worth buying in a bookshop, or is worth representing your company, or is worth being a political candidate's literature, or being a brand, or whatever else it is you're doing. And the thing which is most significant, it is the single commonest problem with documents, is simply bad proofreading. I remember doing a document years ago where I put the fax number, remember them? I put the fax number on wrong on the back. And these were for folders, and we had thousands of these printed, and for years our fax number was always wrong on the back. And for some reason we let that go. A couple of years later, I did an advert for a stop smoking service. And they supplied all the text, and we checked the number, and it was exactly as on their text they'd supplied. And it was published in the newspaper. It was an advert. We did it in QuarkXPress. And an old lady started getting lots and lots of calls because their adverts had never worked before. They'd done them themselves, and they'd resulted in no calls at all. And so what they didn't realise was that the number which they'd been using on the backs of buses and all kinds of other things was entirely the wrong phone number. Now, I tried to talk the old lady into letting me buy the phone number, but we had to, I bought her some flowers and compensated her, but we had to work very carefully to get that sorted out. If your documents don't work at all, you'll never have the problem of discovering that the contact details are wrong. But one of the things that I then instituted for my team was that whenever we put an email address or a phone number or whatever, we always email the email address to check it's there. We ring the phone number so that even if it's the correct phone number in that organization, the person answering the phone knows they're now answering a public phone. The number of times that organizations put somebody's phone number into a document, but that person's not been told. And so when they get a phone call, they think it's an internal call, and they say, "Hello, it's Mitch speaking." And the person ringing up is expecting to get a very smooth sales voice or whatever it is. Any website you go on there. But there's much more to proofreading than that I'm going to talk about. I know proofreading is the most boring thing in the entire world, and yet your documents will never be right without it. Now, I've copied in here a couple of things. We'll go on the screen. And over here, what have we got? I've got some words which I've made up: Kadanga, bleu, and galerific. And then a little phrase in French, je suis très heureux, and a little phrase, in Dutch, ik ben heel blij. Let's see how we're going to work with these, because if you just ran a spell checker, it would flag these up as incorrect every time. If you were doing your spell checking in Microsoft Word, it might even already have corrected these to the wrong name. I used to work with a guy called Alistair, and Word always corrected his name to Alligator, which, given that he was my boss, wasn't a particularly clever thing to do. I used to work occasionally with an organisation called YWAM, and the spell checker kept on changing it to yawn, which really wasn't very helpful. So let's look at what we can do. Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Utilities up here, and I'm going to go to Check Spelling. I'm not going to run Check Spelling. I'm going to go to Auxiliary Dictionary. So I've already created an auxiliary dictionary for this project called brandnames.xml, but you can do a new auxiliary dictionary. In fact, let's do that. So I'm going to call this brand2.xml, new. And I'm now going to go into that auxiliary dictionary and we're going to edit it. So let us put in Kadanga as a brand name. So check spelling, auxiliary dictionary, edit auxiliary. I'm just going to paste that in there, add, save. I'm going to paste in blur. So check spelling, auxiliary dictionary. Sorry, that's the wrong one. I wanted edit auxiliary. Check spelling, edit auxiliary. And now I'm going to type in, I'm going to just paste in blur. And maybe I don't know how to do these Scandinavian letters. So I'm going to copy and paste and save that. And now I'm going to go to Gallerific, another made up word. And I'm going to go again back to check spelling, edit auxiliary, and I've done that already. So I didn't copy that. Let's try that again. Check spelling, edit auxiliary, and we're going to paste that in there. Add. So now, when I run my spell checker, what I'm going to find is that if I check the story, that spelling check is complete because it no longer recognises Kadanga, blur, and Gallerific as incorrect words. It knows that they're correct. But you're asking yourself, how is it that it didn't try to correct Je suis très heureux or Ik ben heel blij? Because très with an accent does not exist in English, and ik, I-K, definitely doesn't exist in English, and certainly blij, B-L-I-J, is a combination you never see in English. Well, the answer is that in the measurements panel, under character, I've set the language to be French. And for this one, I've set the language to be Dutch. So let me introduce a mistake into this. So I'm going to make it je suis, which is not a word in French, and I'm going to make it hail blay with the A clank. So the A sound. That's going into Dutch there. And once more, I'm going to add a third L to Gallerific. Let's see what happens. So now I'm going to check spelling, and we're going to check the story. And okay, for a start, it's seen that Gallerific is problematic. It doesn't want Gallerific. It's saying, is it one of these things? So I can go down to the correct one, which is down here. It's found that in my auxiliary. So let's just look at that again. So it's found Gallerific there, suspect word Gallerific, and I'm going to go down to my correct one, which is Gallerific. Okay, replace. And now it's found Suisse. And clearly that's not going to be a winner either. Okay, here is suis. So we're going to replace that. And then it doesn't like hail. It thinks it might be hey, which means he. But I don't want hey. I want H-E-E-L. Now, it's not found that. It's not a natural spelling mistake. So I'm just going to type that in. Hail, replace. and that's done. And so you've got multilingual spell checking built into QuarkXPress, and as long as using the character measurements panel, or even better, using a style sheet, where in the character style sheet you've set the language, it will correctly go from language to language. And anything you've got in your auxiliary dictionary, it will recognize, and if it sees something which is suspect, it will offer you what's in your auxiliary dictionary. Let me now say that you really shouldn't be relying on a spell checker. It's far too easy to just get things wrong. And the very best thing to do is to do proper proofreading. So usually if I'm doing a big document, I subcontract to somebody else who does the proofreading. You can't proofread something you've worked on yourself. If you've worked on it, then you're the wrong person to be proofreading it. Proofreaders have all their own markings, which you need to know about, and you can download these off the internet from anywhere. This is from the Chicago Manual of Style, and you'll see that they've got a little thing here which means delete, another one that means remove blemish. You don't see that very often because they won't see the final printed text anymore. Step means leave as is, insert here, close up, delete, space. Learn these. Learn them. It's part of your skill as a desktop publisher. It's part of your skill set. Memorize and use them, and it speeds up proofreading, or working with what proofreaders done, immensely. Now, let's just look at something which you'll know from Word probably, which is redline. So I've got here the beginning of Pride and Prejudice, and if you're because I note to myself there that it's got to be added to the auxiliary dictionary, which we have done. If you know your Jane Austen, then you'll know that it is not a truth universally accepted, but a truth universally acknowledged. So I've opened up my redline palette, so let's go there again, we'll just see that again. So window, redline, and I'm going to turn on tracking, I'm going to turn on highlighting. And now, we're going to put in acknowledged. And what's happening now, and it's just like it is in Word, is you're now seeing the changes. And if you now come to the end here, you can go to the previous, next changes. Okay, there's only one change in this document. And you can either accept, which we're going to do, or you can reject. And you can view your highlighting options, which enable you to look at insertions and deletions, insertions only, and deletions only. I'm going to say I don't use this feature very much myself because it relies on the other person having QuarkXPress, and usually I'm working with people who are providing me documents in Word. Well, we're going to stop in a moment, but I just want to talk a bit more about what to look for when proofreading. I used to work for a while with the former editor of the Manchester Evening News, great guy. And we were talking about this. He said, always 2 pairs of eyes on any document. So anything you've done, get somebody else to look at it. But if you're looking at what they've done, then here are 7 things which I think you should look for. Number 1 is missing repeated or incomprehensible text, including markers like insert job title here or $XXX. People quite often put these in a document that's going to be edited on successively, but often they stay in as fossils, and the final printed one has got insert job title here. You've all had emails which say, dear recipient of this email, please correct. We've had stuff to dear homeowner. We've had all kinds of things. The second thing is spelling and grammar. You can forgive maybe 1 or 2 spelling mistakes on a long page. If there's more than 3, I always get the document reprinted. If in the final printed one it's got more than 3 spelling mistakes on the same page, we reprint the entire thing. If you've got a single mistake of something like a fax number, okay, not fax numbers anymore, but a telephone number, you've just got to reprint it. So spelling and grammar, punctuation and spaces. Spaces particularly are hard to spot. That's why you need to print it out and proofread it properly, not just look at it on the screen. Consistency of usage. So you need a house style document that says what you do with title case. So if it's a title of something, do you capitalize every word, including of and in and the, or is it just the main words? Do you have spaces around em dashes? The American usage is one way, the British usage is a different way. Words with more than one correct spelling, is it further or farther? A style guide which you create for your organisation or your project is very helpful for this. Declaration of abbreviations and consistency of use. I've actually got a program from the App Store which finds all the abbreviations in a document and tells you if you've declared them. So the first time you use an abbreviation, it should say BBC, brackets, the British Broadcasting Corporation. Well, okay, that's so well known in the UK that you may not need that. But for many things, you do need to declare them. Then inconsistent typography, font changes, use of inch marks instead of typographic quotation marks, inconsistent in-paragraph spacing, and so on. And finally, adherence to corporate style. Are the colours correct? Are the fonts correct? Are the images in the correct style? Part of your skill as a desktop publisher is to be able to look at these things and actually very quickly look at a long document and say, that's got the following mistakes in. And you're not going to proofread it, but you can tell immediately if it's been proofread or not. And if it's not been correctly proofread, it must be proofread before it goes to final print. The cheapest part of the process is the beginning. Someone has written some text, they can rewrite it. It's more expensive when you as a DTP person actually start working on it. And if it turns out that the document you've been sent is the wrong document, that's happened to me a few times. Oh, that was version 3, you need version 5. Can't you just change the bit? No, you can't, you've got to start again. That's more expensive, but by far the most expensive is actually when it's been printed. Actually, that's not quite the most expensive. When it's been printed, you can just reprint it. It's when somebody relies on the information and suddenly it costs thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of pounds, dollars or euros. So getting it right is absolutely crucial. Well, I recognise that proofreading was not the most exciting part of what we're doing, but it's one of the most important. So I recommend to you to go further with that. My name is Martin Turner. I'm the author of Desktop Publishing with QuarkXPress 2016. It's all in the book, and I hope you've enjoyed that and will enjoy further episodes. Thank you very much.